In the CCTV footage, Chow Tran can be seen dumping a bag late at night, unaware that a terrible incident was about to unfold with his in-laws, Long Yuan and Huang Li, when they were found wrapped with duct tape all around their mouths and bodies.
So it made me think, man, this is a horrible way to die. You can only imagine just how much you're trying to grasp for air and not being able to do so with layers of duct tape around your mouth and your nose. And you just think that the person that did this had no mercy for them.
But there was something extremely odd.
One of the things that looked out of place was the ashtray that had a joint in it. You're talking about an elderly Asian couple.
What made this case even more twisted were the conflicting stories and multiple suspects, all somehow linked to the same calculated mastermind behind it all. Shockingly, the killer had been right under their noses the entire time, hiding in plain sight in a way no one had ever expected. On June 10, 2012, Chow Tran desperately called 911 to request a welfare check on his in-laws, Long Yuan and Huang Li.
Arlington 911.
At my mother-in-law house apartment, the window is open, and the cover of the window.
Is your mother-in-law home?
Oh my God! You know what, ma'am? My son and my wife, they said they look in there. They say that they saw everything fall out.
Upon arriving at 3620 Waverly Drive in Arlington, the police had no idea of the chilling and intricate situation that awaited them. As they entered the apartment, the disarray enveloped them, leaving an unsettling impression that something was deeply amiss. The scene was chaotic, with furniture tossed out, the couch shoved aside, drawers pulled open in haste, and personal items scattered all over, suggesting a frantic search had taken place. Yet, as the investigators delved deeper, an unsettling feeling began to emerge. Among the chaotic mess, a large number of CDs in particular were visible and thrown all over the floor, which was an odd feature. As they ventured deeper into the apartment, an odd sight caught their attention: a beer bottle positioned conspicuously on the kitchen counter. Meanwhile, in the living room, a half-smoked marijuana cigarette lay abandoned on the table. It felt like a scene frozen in time, where the remnants of a life abruptly abandoned lingered in the air, whispering secrets of a story left untold. In a chilling discovery, a significant pool of blood was located right by a chair in the living room, solidifying the darkest suspicions that a horrific event had unfolded in this very space. Yet, the nightmare continued to unfold. As they pressed on with their investigation, they discovered increasing traces of blood scattered across the apartment, revealing a chilling narrative of conflict. Crimson stains marked the walls, a haunting testament to a frantic struggle, as if someone had fought to cling to life, leaving a chilling path in their wake. The crimson stains weren't merely scattered, they had been pulled along the wall, creating a chilling trail that led directly to the master bedroom. At that moment, the seriousness of the circumstances became apparent to Detective Byron Stewart, who was promptly summoned to the location. As they stepped into the bedroom, they were met with utter turmoil, reflecting the disorder that permeated the entire apartment. Yet, this was merely the onset of an enigma that would astonish all who encountered it. In a chilling discovery, authorities uncovered the remnants of 72-year-old Long Yuan and 63-year-old Huang Li, hidden away and piled together in a closet. Crimson stains lingered, a haunting testament to the brutality that had unfolded. Upon observing the motionless forms, Detective Byron immediately recognized the profound trauma the victims had endured. The chilling aspect of the scene was how the bodies had been handled. The victims found themselves restrained, duct tapes encircling their legs and their hands secured firmly behind them. The tape mercilessly obscured their vision and constricted their noses, rendering it utterly impossible for them to draw a breath. It was scary for them to see how the old couple were killed, because there was an oxygen tank in the next room to the bodies that helped one of the victims breathe.
So it made me think, man, this is a horrible way to die. You can only imagine just how much you're trying to grasp for air and not being able to do so with layers of duct tape around your mouth and your nose. And you just think that the person that did this had no mercy for them.
The remains were swiftly transported for examination, as additional officers stayed behind at the scene, piecing together the details of the incident. Initially, the investigators believed they were facing a case of a heist that had taken a dark turn. However, upon further examination, the hypothesis started to unravel as it became clear that none of the belongings had been removed from the residence. Moreover, there were no indications of any forced entry. The doors and windows remained undisturbed, showing no signs of forced entry. However, they were clear in their belief that multiple individuals must have played a role in this horrific crime. The sheer difficulty of managing both victims and arranging the bodies suggests that the involvement of more than one individual was likely necessary. The scene was scrutinized with great care for any clues, particularly fingerprints, that might provide a breakthrough. Yet, it appeared the culprits were one step ahead. The investigation delved deep into the chilling handprints smeared across the walls, and after thorough testing, it was revealed that the blood was exclusively that of the victims. However, an intriguing detail piqued the detectives' interest.
One of the things that looked out of place was the ashtray that had a joint in it. You're talking about an elderly Asian couple. It was just totally out of place.
The investigators opt to analyze the marijuana cigarette discovered at the scene, aiming to retrieve a DNA profile from it. During the unfolding tragedy, the family was left reeling as the devastating news of the brutal killings reached them. Detective Byron understood that in situations like this, every individual could potentially hold a key to the mystery, so he meticulously crafted a series of inquiries for the family. Later that day, Chow, accompanied by his wife Oh-Han Nguyen and mother Than Tran, found themselves summoned to the Arlington police station for an interrogation that was anything but ordinary. Chow Tran, the son-in-law of the victim, stood out as the sole member of the family who was fluent in English. He became the central figure for detectives throughout the investigation.
You know, we have to figure out who would do this, and why they would do this. And normally we try to work within the family and then outside the family, And this is not an accusatory situation where we accuse anybody.
Accuse? Oh, you mean
like accuse anybody, But we have to look at family members first.
Chow recalled the chilling events of June 9, 2012, when Long Nguyen and Huang Lee, accompanied by his mother, gathered at his home to commemorate the birthdays of Chow and his son. He claimed that everything appeared to be perfectly ordinary until that moment.
Everybody was happy?
Oh, everybody's happy, and we joking around. Even my dad said, "Oh, today's birthday, we celebrating that. Or who gave me the money, everything like that." We sit together, we play cards until 10 o'clock, over 10 o'clock,
Okay, a little bit after 10, right?
Yes, sir.
And then just drove back home, right?
Drove back home, yes, sir.
Okay.
As the interrogation unfolded, the investigators uncovered intriguing details about the Vietnamese couple's journey to America, driven by their quest for a brighter future. The family shared a deep bond with their daughter Oh-Han, son-in-law Chow, and their young grandson Danny Tran.
I was only 15 when my grandparents passed. I was like, why would someone do this to two 60-year-old people?
The couple dedicated themselves to establishing a sewing business from scratch, specifically designed to meet the demands of a nearby amusement park. Through this enterprise, they sustained their whole family and earned the esteem of the vast Vietnamese community in Arlington. As the investigators delved deeper into their lives, suspicions arose about whether this enterprise concealed a darker intention behind the killings.
Okay, so what's the name of the shop?
NT Sewing.
NT Sewing?
Yeah.
And I noticed your mother-in-law owns it, right?
Yes.
Any known enemies or anything like that?
I don't think my mom and dad have any, you know.
Yeah.
Because
No.
they're very nice.
Have they ever had anybody extort money from them at all, or?
No.
Okay. No?
I'm the one in charge that too,
Okay,
you know.
okay. So you keep up with the money, right?
Yes. We've been slow for about a month, you know.
Yeah.
But last week we didn't work at all.
Okay. Haven't had any kind of issues at the job where angry customers or anything like that?
No, we don't deal with customers. No.
Okay.
If the killings weren't connected to the business, might a relative have concealed some deep-seated anger or bitterness toward the couple?
Has there been any internal family issues or something like that?
No, because my mom and my dad, we just go out to the shop and we work normally.
So no one would have a reason to want to harm them in your family at all?
What's harm me? I mean, kill them?
Yeah, kill
Oh,
them
no.
or anything like that? No one would want to do that?
No.
Okay.
Why we should kill our parents for, you know?
Yeah. In your opinion, we're dealing with somebody outside the family, right? Somebody outside the family must have done this.
I think they watch my parents or they try to rob them or they defend. That's what we think.
The family shared vital information, and one of the key confirmations was that the couple did not smoke, which dealt a significant blow to the investigation. Following 4 gripping hours of interrogation, the detectives uncovered nothing specially out of the ordinary in Chow and his family's answers. They exhibited a willingness to engage, their responses aligned seamlessly, and there were no obvious warning signs. The investigators, despite their meticulous approach, were visibly moved by the profound grief experienced by the family. On June 11, 2012, Detective Byron convened with the medical examiner to go over the autopsy findings, which revealed that both victims had died from asphyxiation caused by duct tape tightly secured around their nostrils and mouths. The incident rendered the community in stunned silence, prompting the police department to swiftly initiate an appeal for information. As the murderer roamed free, an unsettling tension gripped the neighborhood, intensifying the urgency for detectives to identify a suspect. Detective Byron and his team started to scour their neighborhood, where the couple resided, seeking any clues or whispers of unusual activity from that fateful night. In the heat of the interrogation, the detective's phone rang, delivering vital information that could change everything.
At this point, I've gotten the results back for the DNA samples from the crime scene, just as expected. The profile that we got from the marijuana joint that was left did not match that of the victims. I did ask for a possible racial background of the DNA sample. This particular sample could be that of an African-American person.
To uncover the truth, investigators opted to enter the DNA from the marijuana cigarette into TIMECODES, the national database containing DNA profiles from countless individuals. Nevertheless, this was an arduous journey, and the answers would not reveal themselves right away. With no option but to endure the suspense, the detectives continued their relentless pursuit of the truth, meticulously gathering DNA samples from every resident in the area. At this juncture in their pursuit, a crucial detail emerged, guiding the inquiry down an unexpected path.
We learned there was an apartment right down the walkway from the victim's apartment that was said to have a party the night of this offense.
Without hesitation, Detective Byron made his way directly to the apartment of David Hayes, an African-American man and the neighboring resident of the couple. David recounted the events of June 9th, detailing how he had thrown a gathering for their African-American friends filled with laughter, music, and revelry that lasted into the early morning hours. In light of the DNA evidence collected from the scene, the detective approached David to request a sample of his DNA for analysis. As their conversation unfolded, David brought up a name, Samuel Gregory, his brother who attended the party the previous night. Yet, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss with Samuel.
Doing a background check on him, I realized that he didn't give me the right name. I found out that his name was Shannon Gregory and not Samuel.
Samuel's past was marked by a connection to gang-related activities and a series of felony arrests. Luckily, his DNA profile was already cataloged in the system because of his previous offenses, enabling a swift comparison to be made. Yet, when the findings were revealed on June 14, 2012, they were utterly astonishing. Even with what appeared to be the most convincing evidence, the DNA match yielded no results, leaving investigators without new suspects in the chilling double homicides. The town, engulfed in a mix of dread and outrage, started to seek clarity and intensify scrutiny of the unfolding inquiry. On June 14, 2012, Detective Byron received a call from the insurance company that sparked his renewed interest in the case. The victims possessed a life insurance policy valued at over $1.8 million, a staggering sum that was anything but typical. This startling discovery shifted the course of the investigation, but what truly captivated the detectives was the unsettling detail that the beneficiaries of the policy were Chow Tran and his wife Ohan, the daughter of the victims. The substantial compensation compelled him to investigate the couple's sewing enterprise, pondering whether there could be a link between the business and the sizable insurance policy. Upon his arrival, he quickly observed multiple surveillance cameras strategically positioned outside. In a quest for fresh insights, he sought access to the recordings from the evening of June 9th, and what he uncovered was nothing short of astonishing.
Around 10:30 or so, you can see what appears to be Child's van pulling up to the sewing business. I can see two people get out of the van, and they're carrying this large duffel bag, and Chow opens the door, and you have to kind of struggle to get that large duffel bag inside the business. It appears that he just dropped it in the business and then immediately came out. And then he puts a bag inside the dumpster.
A whirlwind of questions surged through the detective's mind, pondering if Chow was attempting to rid himself of a murder weapon, or if there was something far more nefarious unfolding beneath the surface. In the first interview, Chow failed to disclose any reason for leaving his home that evening. On June 15, 2012, the detective's instincts drove him to the dumpster, compelling him to uncover the contents of the bag that had prompted Chow to dispose of it in haste that fateful night. As he leapt into the dumpster and rummaged through the refuse, he stumbled upon a bag that appeared to correspond with the one Chow had been observed discarding. To clarify, Chow was summoned back to the company, but this time amidst a haze of great doubt. As Chow unzipped the bag, the detective felt a wave of disappointment wash over him once more. Inside lay nothing of consequence, only a collection of sewing supplies. The situation was far from ideal for the detectives, yet they understood they were up against an individual with a devious and calculating intellect. Detective Byron took that moment to confront Chow regarding the life insurance policy, anticipating an unusual response.
And Chow explained that the business was in Hung Lee and Long Wednesday, and that for the business, the family all felt like they needed this much insurance to carry on if something were to happen to them. I did check the business out, and the business was in their name.
Upon examining the insurance policy, it was evident that Huang Lee had secured it a year prior to the tragic events. Chow's rationale for the policy started to align, leading Detective Byron to conclude that Chow and his family were uninvolved in the murders. Just when it appeared they had a lead to propel the inquiry forward, it gradually eluded their grasp, and everything began to unravel.
It's frustrating at this time because we just don't have a motive. We don't have any kind of evidence, and I just can't seem to catch a break on coming up with a possible suspect.
During this challenging period, Detective Byron kept a vigilant connection with Chow and his family. He emphasized that the case remained very much alive in the public consciousness. In the face of numerous challenges, he vowed to uncover the truth behind the murders and ensure that justice was served for Long Yuman and Huang Li.
Byron was the most genuine person that I've ever met. He was loving, and he just wanted to make sure that we were good. It had that comfortness, knowing that someone had our backs, someone who would do anything to make sure that, justice is done.
It was assured that justice would be served, but no one knew when. After enduring 3 years of anguish, October 2015 brought a startling revelation that would lead them down a road filled with unforeseen revelations. Detective Byron's phone buzzed with urgency as his lieutenant delivered the long-anticipated news. They had finally identified a match to the DNA found on the marijuana cigarette at the scene of the crime.
At this point, I'm in shock. I'm disbelief. I get the official letter, and I get up from my desk, and I start running around the 3rd floor screaming, "I got him! I got him!" And everyone is saying, "What the hell is wrong with Stewart?" I kept looking at it over and over. Yes, this is the match to the marijuana cigarette that was found at your scene.
The announcement sent a jolt of excitement through the department, yet it arrived with unexpected turn of events. The DNA was not linked to anyone in the family, but it did match a 20-year-old named Willie Guillory. As the investigators delved into Willie's past, they uncovered a prior arrest for horse theft, a serious crime in Texas, and it was at that moment his DNA was logged into CODES. Resulting in this surprising connection, at that moment Willie found himself under probation for theft, now facing a breach of that very probation. The detectives swiftly secured an arrest warrant, aiming to catch Willie by surprise. Luckily, instead of being in the Houston area, he was located within the Fort Worth homeless community. Unnoticed to those involved, this marked not the conclusion, but the beginning of a chilling sequence of discoveries that would irrevocably alter countless lives.
Now, Willie's under the impression that he's been arrested on his probation violation. So his mindset is, okay, you caught me. He knew he was in violation. I'm the detective here in Arlington. And can I make sure I have some of your information first? Yes. Okay. And your first name again is Willie? Willie. Okay. And your last name is what? Guillory. How you spell that? Guillory. O-R-Y. And what's your date of birth? 8/13/95. 1995. How old are you? 20. 20? Okay.
Willie first thought that his arrest was just about breaching his probation term. As detectives engaged him in a more serious discussion, the shift in his demeanor became evident.
Preliminary information out. He was very comfortable at that point. And then I said, Willie, I have something else I want to talk to you about. We're working on a homicide that occurred back in 2012. Okay.
Where was this?
We're talking to you about elderly Asian couple that was killed in the city of Arlington. Are you familiar with Arlington at all?
No, I've never been to Arlington. I've only been to Fort Worth or Houston.
Oh, Fort Worth or Houston? Yes. So you've never been in the city of Arlington at all?
No, I have not.
In June 2012, we had this offense against this elderly couple. Now in October of 2015, we have a match of DNA, and that DNA is you. How old would you have been at that time?
2012, 2013. I would have been 16.
16 years old?
Yes.
Okay.
At merely 16 years old during the time of the murders, it was evident that Willie could not have single-handedly overpowered two adults to carry out the killings. With this in mind, the detectives intensified their interrogation of Willie, determined to uncover the true mastermind behind the crime.
you are a nice kid. If you were there and others committed this offense and you're scared, then talk to us. We can help you. Okay? You probably were there and you left your DNA, but you have to account for these other people. So, Willie, the best thing you can do, tell us who those people were. Name them. Who are they, Willie? And we'll write them down. Who are they, Willie? There you go. I know it's hard, but you tell us. Who are they?
I don't know why my name would keep them in the system if I'd never been to Arlington.
Who are they, Willie? Who did this to the elderly
I just
couple?
heard about it.
Willie found himself overwhelmed with emotion, tears streaming down his face as the long-buried secret resurfaced, forcing him to confront the inevitable fallout.
I sent the crime scene techs in there, and they came in and took his sample of his DNA, which made him even more emotional at the time. Willie, turn around so we can do this here, okay? And here's the order that allows me to do that. So, you want to look at this? Willie, do you want to look at this?
Y'all are scaring me.
Well, we're not trying to scare you.
You're scaring me because now I'm going to jail.
You're going to...
I'm going to die. For something I did not do.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I know this is upsetting, man. I don't mean to upset you, okay? We knew at that time that Willie was there. He was involved in this offense.
Mama, I want you.
Willie shared a profound connection with his mother, Charlesetta Duhan. Witnessing his intense emotional struggle, Detective Byron decided to reach out to her. He reached out to deliver the devastating news that her son had been taken into custody for a serious crime in Arlington.
It was just hard. As a mother, it was hard. I couldn't believe it. I kind of dropped the phone. It felt like something just ripped out of me. I didn't think he was capable of doing nothing like that.
In a gripping turn of events, Detective Byron made the journey to Houston, seeking to bring Willie's mother, Charlesetta, and sister, Angel Guillory, to Arlington for questioning. However, this move only seemed to complicate the situation even more.
I got a conscience, so I don't want to charge anybody with anything that they didn't do. You know how that can go sometimes. And I don't want to be that detective who falsely accuses anybody of something when I'm wrong, okay?
I know my child,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't think my child killed nobody. I think he was either forced, threatened, or something.
Mm-hmm. And who has the power to do that?
Bobby.
Bobby Guillory, the uncle of Willie, had custody of him for more than 6 years. However, what is truly disturbing is that Bobby had subjected Willie to abuse and beatings starting from the age of just 10. From an early age, Willie was engulfed in a relentless atmosphere of dread, shaped by Bobby's explosive temper and cruel behavior.
How do you guys believe Bobby is involved in this?
I think because he set Willie up.
You got out of school around what? June what?
We got out June 3rd.
Okay, and this offense happened, as I told you, July 10th, right? So you would have been out of school, and Willie would have been out of school at that time, right?
What I know is the person that was with him, because they go hunting all the time out there, was Bobby. And he was with them during that time.
From an early age, Willie was engulfed in a relentless atmosphere of dread, shaped by Bobby's explosive temper and cruel behavior.
I don't think it was your idea, Willie. You understand? And if Bobby put you up to this or someone put you up to this, then we need to get to the point where we need to deal with that.
June 10th of 2012, I was staying with my Uncle Bobby. He abused me, beat me, and hit me at the time. And he told me we was going hunting on a hunting trip. I believed him because that's what we usually do. We end up not going hunting. We end up coming down to Arlington at the time, which I know nothing about. At at that time, it was a thing where he told me if I didn't do it or do whatever we were gonna do, or didn't go with him at the time, that he was gonna hit me, and I was scared because I was tired of getting beat.
The unsettling narrative became even more pronounced when Willie openly admitted to Bobby's violent tendencies directed at him. Following Willie's tip, Detective Byron swiftly reached out to the fugitive unit and secured an arrest warrant for Bobby on capital murder charges, ensuring he wouldn't have the chance to evade capture and flee the country. Bobby soon returned to Arlington, but the journey that lay ahead was poised to become even more daunting.
Okay, Bobby, now, of course, I need to explain to you everything that's going on, right? We gave him the full details of why Willie had been arrested. I asked him, I said, Bobby, do you have any involvement in this as well?
Did you kill him? No, I did not.
In their pursuit of the truth, the detectives understood that earning Bobby's trust was crucial. Spotting a tattoo of Jesus on his arm provided them with the perfect opportunity to establish a connection.
You and I have to feel comfortable with the act of what happened. You got to really come comfortable with God first. And I think since this offense happened, your faith has gotten stronger because of that. His facial expressions, his body language, everything indicated that he was ready.
Me and Willie went over there. And didn't really want to hurt no one, but when they came in, got scared.
Did you think that you had killed him? Because I can tell you that, and this may have been an accident on your part, let me just tell you, because the duct tape, you recall using duct tape? It cut off their breathing, okay? And that's why I'm asking you, did you have the intent to kill them, or did you know?
No, I didn't have intent.
Okay, so what was the purpose behind the duct tape then, in your opinion?
Just to stop him from hollering.
Did you want to kill him?
No, I did not.
What did you want to do then?
To steal, to break in and find the money.
Despite Bobby's confession, the detectives had a nagging feeling that there was more lurking beneath the surface. Their decision to travel to Arlington to rob an elderly couple raised suspicions, prompting them to explore alternative explanations.
Willie has been arrested and he's been charged with capital murder. And you will be charged with capital murder. But I don't believe it's just you and Willie, okay? I think there are other people involved in here. You should not take this rap by yourself.
I want you to understand, if there's anything else you need to tell us, you need to tell us now. Anything else you want to tell us?
Bobby's demeanor revealed a conflicting narrative, suggesting he was shielding someone. But from whom? As Bobby fell into silence, all eyes shifted back to Willie, seeking the crucial answers that everyone was yearning for.
I didn't know what we were doing until we got to Arlington. We needed money. He said he was doing it for somebody else. Somebody told him to do something.
And they was talking about killing somebody, but I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I didn't know who they were talking about at all or how they were going to do it. But I don't know what.
I know it's hard, Willie, but just tell us.
Willie admitted that on the night of June 9th, he and Bobby traveled to Arlington with a definitive purpose to end the lives of the couple. However, what he disclosed afterwards dramatically shifted the course of the inquiry.
Do you ever shit paper in the pit? That's all I do with by Daphne.
Daphne? Okay.
That's all I heard was like trying to kill somebody that day.
Willie claims that the real architect of the killings was a woman named Daphne Wright. She was the mastermind behind the entire scheme. Daphne, a Vietnamese woman from the Houston area, appeared to lead an unremarkable life free from any criminal history. However, her connection to Bobby emerged through a woman named V, who was romantically involved with Bobby at that time. Willie alleged that Daphne handed over the keys to the couple's apartment and shared intricate details about their daily habits, igniting the entire scheme. But what is the reason behind it?
How much money were you promised by Daphne to go down and do this?
$10,000.
$10,000. So now it made sense to us. Money is the motive here.
Bobby's drive behind the act stemmed from financial desperation. Grappling with his mortgage, he perceived the heist as an immediate solution. Yet, he remained oblivious to the complete ramifications of what he had done. The investigation unfolded like a gripping narrative, with Daphne ensnared in a complex plot of betrayal. As the main suspect, she possessed the crucial insight needed to unravel the real reason behind the killings. Yet, despite having a main suspect, the investigation was just beginning. The detectives returned to Houston to confront Daphne, and they were instantly taken aback by the multitude of security cameras positioned around her property.
First thing we notice when we get to her house is that there are cameras everywhere. There's cameras in the backyard, the cameras up front, one on each end of the garage, one on a pole.
Bars on the door, almost like it was, break-in proof or something. It's just kind of weird.
The scene resembled an impenetrable stronghold with surveillance devices meticulously positioned to capture every moment. As they drew near, Daphne emerged from the front door, her face betraying nothing as the detectives readied themselves to interrogate her. Her revelations to the detectives only deepened their intrigue surrounding her story. Daphne presented herself as a spiritual advisor, providing services aimed at lifting curses and conducting rituals for both businesses and individuals. Within the Vietnamese community, individuals from diverse backgrounds would offer her significant sums for her services, which encompassed casting spells or removing curses. She was highly esteemed as a figure of significant spiritual influence.
She was considered to be a spiritually powerful person in the community that was well respected. I don't think anyone messed with her.
What happens if they don't pay you?
Well, what happened if he stiffed me? Usually they have real.
And that stuck in my mind that she was very confident that no one was going to stiff her for removing his curses.
I don't have to do anything to them. Things just happen.
When questioned about her connection to Bobby, Daphne provided a shocking response, insisting she had no knowledge of anyone by that name. This revelation nearly threw the whole case off track until the detectives presented her a photo of Bobby. Bobby's complete name was Bobby James Guillory, utilizing James in professional settings while reserving Bobby for his private life. As the pieces of the puzzle began to align, the detectives, armed with a wealth of evidence, secured an arrest warrant for Daphne, accusing her of capital murder. Yet, the unfolding events were anything but straightforward. In a shocking turn of events, Daphne remained tight-lipped about the murders, leaving the detectives grappling with unanswered questions. What resentment did she harbor towards the victims? What led her to uncover so many details about that tragic evening? As the prospect of Daphne securing bail loomed, the detectives swiftly obtained a search warrant for her residence, only to uncover revelations that left them questioning their judgments. Daphne's small house felt like a tightly packed scene, brimming with an array of items, jars of fruit that seemed to serve as offerings, alongside a multitude of flickering candles casting shadows in the dim light. Scattered throughout the space were various books, each one revealing the intricate details of her spiritual rituals. As the investigators delved further into the residence, they uncovered a wall adorned with images of various individuals. The ambiguity surrounding these individuals left one wondering if they were clients of Daphne or potential targets for her mystical intentions. Yet, amidst the chaos, one item emerged that left the detectives completely speechless. The revelation was staggering, casting doubt on the notion that Chow might have played a role in the killings or could have been a potential victim himself. Detective Byron reached out to Chow with a sense of urgency, requesting a meeting the next day to delve into the details of the case. Chow consented, yet when the moment came, he vanished without a trace and fell utterly silent. As the enigma thickened, Detective Byron received an unexpected call from Chow's lawyer, Ray Glowen.
Cho Tran came for advice about being interviewed by the police department or the detectives handling this case. And I advised them not to do the interview unless I was present.
This was the moment when the investigators understood he would never have the chance to communicate with Chow directly, further complicating the distinction between a victim and a suspect.
You know, we made an arrest on his in-law's murder. I wanted to, give them some insight on the arrest and stuff like that. And so I was kind of surprised that he now has an attorney. So he felt as if I was going to accuse him of being a suspect?
Probably so.
For years, Chow, who had been deeply engaged in the investigation since 2012, emerged as a suspect in the murders once more. As they explored his past, shocking revelations began to emerge. Chow shut down the sewing business after cashing in on the insurance payout, which was intended for reinvestment into the venture. Even more disturbing was Chow's gambling addiction, as he was notorious for spending exorbitant sums without a second thought. As the detectives had nearly uncovered every aspect of the case, Bobby finally began to share his side of the story.
Chow Tran is the son-in-law. He's been kind of evasive with me. You know what I mean when I say evasive? You would think since Willie been in jail, he would be happy, right? He's avoiding me. I think he knows because conversation's been going down.
He don't want to give Daphne that key.
It wasn't solely Chow. The whole family was aware of the killings right from the beginning. As this revelation dawned, an overwhelming sense of treachery engulfed the investigators. They devoted countless hours attempting to bring resolution to individuals who were, in reality, suspects in the case. At this stage, Detective Byron had gathered sufficient evidence to establish that Chow was unequivocally the central figure in the murders of his in-laws. Even without holding the weapon, he meticulously planned every aspect of the fatal treachery. Just when it appeared that the investigation was reaching its final act, an astonishing twist was on the horizon. The investigators realized that contacting Chow was not an option, leaving them with only one remaining avenue: Daphne. In 2017, Bobby faced a conviction for capital murder, resulting in a life sentence behind bars without any chance of parole. Meanwhile, Willie opted for a plea deal, which led to a 20-year prison term. The spotlight was now on Daphne's trial. Detective Byron, in collaboration with attorney David Alex, meticulously strategized for the trial, scrutinizing every aspect of the case. At the same time, they quietly worked to construct a case against Chow, a task that turned out to be incredibly difficult. Under Texas law, a conviction cannot be based solely on confessions. Despite the confession from Willie and Bobby, the investigators found themselves without solid proof to establish that Chow and Daphne were at the location of the killings when they occurred. For the next 6 months, Detective Byron and attorney David Alex dedicated themselves to constructing their case. But then, in 2018, an unexpected twist occurred when attorney David received a phone call from Ray Glowen, Chow's attorney.
I proposed that to David Alex, the prosecutor. My client would be willing to testify and explain his involvement and his connection with Daphne if he was offered immunity.
I'm like, what? How does Chow get away with this? He set this up. This all started with Chow.
In the realm of law, immunity signified that should Chow decide to testify and admit his involvement in the murders, the district attorney would be powerless to leverage his confession in a courtroom setting. In essence, Chow had the opportunity to confess his wrongdoing while under oath, yet his declarations would remain protected from being utilized in a prosecution against him.
His ass needs to fry just like everyone else. But sometimes you have to make a deal with the devil.
On June 17, 2018, Chow received immunity for his testimony. And by August 29, 2019, he was prepared to take the stand against Daphne. In a gripping account, Chow recounted his experience, revealing that one day while he and his mother-in-law Huang Li were engrossed in the newspaper, they stumbled upon an intriguing advertisement by Daphne Wright, who claimed to possess the ability to lift curses from businesses through the use of voodoo magic.
His mother-in-law felt it was because of curses and spells that were being put on the business by competing businesses. And so she asked him to find somebody that could help spiritually in form of white magic.
After bringing Daphne on board, they observed a remarkable increase in profits within just the first month.
Chow says, after the first of the month, my Chow helped us. We received 4,000 orders. Here he's saying after she removed this curse, the business started profiting. So obviously that increased his belief that she was able to help.
This triumph solidified their confidence in Daphne's skills, prompting them to persist in enlisting her expertise. They made regular visits, and with each encounter, their enterprise flourished even more. Yet their triumph was not destined to endure indefinitely. Ultimately, they began to encounter losses once more, and Daphne asserted that she had cast a curse on their business due to insufficient payments. The initial cost for her services started at $15,000, yet it surged dramatically to $280,000. At this stage, Daphne had established considerable dominance over Chow and his family. They lived in constant fear, knowing that failing to comply with her demands could lead to dire repercussions for themselves or their loved ones. At that moment, Huang Li proposed the chilling idea of taking her life.
My mother-in-law told us, because we owe a lot of money, let her die so we can use the insurance money to pay Daphne Wright. My mother-in-law told us that she would sacrifice to die and let us collect the money so we could not struggle.
In Chow's gripping narrative, unsettling discrepancies emerged. The evidence at the scene indicated a fierce struggle, with marks on the walls and the conditions of the bodies raising questions about the nature of the attack. It seemed unlikely that the victims were intended to perish without a fight. Moreover, if Chow's narrative held any weight, it raised questions about the rationale behind such a complex scheme that included Daphne in the plot to eliminate the couple. It might have been easier to discover a more direct method to conclude their existence. Chow's assertions appeared to be riddled with inconsistencies.
So I don't buy Chow's story for a second.
I think justice was served with regard to Bobby. I think justice was served with regard to Willie, who was a hands-on participant and just gave gruesome descriptions of the brutal conduct towards an elderly lady in her own home. I certainly don't think justice was served with regard to Chow Tran. He pocketed all the money and walks free.
On August 30th, 2019, the verdict was delivered. Daphne was found guilty of capital murder, leading to a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Though the trial ended with a guilty verdict and both the perpetrator and a motive were uncovered, the real architect of the crime walked away unscathed, leaving the underlying truths obscured in darkness for eternity.
Every question that I think I ever had since June 10th, 2012, I got answered. I got my closure, and I think I brought closure to the victims more than anything. We speak for the dead. And I like to think that the victims know that we are holding the people accountable for who took their lives.
What do you think about this case? Was Chow's narrative genuine or merely a facade of deception? What truly motivated the killings? We eagerly await your thought. If you have a case in mind that you think deserves our attention, feel free to share your suggestions in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more gripping tales of intrigue and suspense. Until next time, remain vigilant and be ready for the next enigma to reveal itself.